5-0. How does that sound, Cougar Nation? Undefeated. There's not a lot of undefeated teams left in college football. You're one of them, number 17 in the country, and you're in the bye week now. You're resting up. The Arizona game got a kickoff time of 2 p.m. in 2 weeks. You got to love the situation that BYU football is in right now after they took down the Bears 34-28. We'll be breaking that thing down over the next hour here on Cougar Nation. Mitch was there. We'll get his thoughts. We want to get your thoughts, Cougar Nation, on Jake Retzlaff and his performance through the first 5 games. You can call us at 801-575-8255. The question is, what letter grade would you give Jake Retzlaff through the first 5 games of the season? Keep in mind, he is 5-0. Curious to hear your thoughts. You can text us as well, 57500. Mitch, welcome back from Texas. Did you have a good time down there?
I did have a good time, and BYU, gave a lot to write about and discuss in this game as the Cougs go to 5-0. Let's break it down in our takeaways as the Cougs take down the Bears 34-28.
Cougar Nation takeaways. Mitch and Matt analyze BYU's last week of play and what it means for the next week.
It was a soulless kind of environment at McLean Stadium.
It looked empty. How empty was it?
It was, it looked more empty than it was because people were avoiding the sun.
Okay.
They tried to go for the shade, and so you saw sections.
They kept showing that angle behind one of the end zones. Where it was like, nobody's there.
Yeah, a lot of people went under the shaded area. It was about high 80s, a little bit humid, but still not bad. It could have been a lot worse. The field was pretty hot, but it just was a low energy game. Where as far as from the crowd and the atmosphere, look, Baylor would seem like a team that was ready to fire Dave Aranda before the half when they got down 21-0. But my takeaway number one from this game, Matt, was that I love that this BYU team has consistently shown week after week they're just continuing to get better every single week. And I felt like they did it in the Baylor game too. Even after that great performance against Kansas State, there were so many makings to have a letdown. The intangibles. Talking with some Baylor media going into the game, they felt pretty good about the chances of the Bears winning that one. And all the intangibles were going against BYU, honestly. Yet BYU showed up as an underdog, and I thought they played pretty dang well. Yes, the second half, and we'll unpack all of that, but I like that BYU continues to get better, and I think that was one of my big takeaways coming out of that game.
My one of the big takeaways was this was an incredibly gritty win, considering the injuries that piled up in that first half and the adversity, some of which was self-inflicted. Some of it was circumstantial. I thought there were some horrible calls in this football game, Mitch, that could have very well impacted the game, namely a blatant PI on a trick play that would have set you up deep in the red zone. You probably cash that in, and then we all feel different about this win. And then also that horrific flop that gave the ball back to Baylor, and who knows what could have happened there. You're at 2nd and 5. Odds are you get that first down, and you kneel out the game. That doesn't go your way. That was adversity overcome. And then I also love, too, this kind of is baked into this takeaway for me. Defensively, not the best performance, and I think Jay Hill would admit that. However, I took a lot away from this game, knowing the defense, even while not playing well, can make a play when they need to make a play. And they did that multiple times in the fourth quarter where they needed to get out of drives or force turnovers. Crew Wakely, of course, sealing the game with that game-winning INT, even when they're not playing their best football, because that was not their best football. This defense is much improved to the point that maybe we can trust and rely that this defense, when they need to, can make a play.
My takeaway number 2 is the depth of this team continues to be highlighted each and every week. You bring up the injuries. We saw Harrison Taggart go out. He's expected to return for the Arizona game. That's positive news. He was wandering the sideline without a helmet, was in uniform during the Baylor game, but Kalani said that they expect him back for Arizona. Connor Pay goes down, and that's the one where everyone's going to be monitoring. Potentially, is that a lengthy period of time? Because Kalani himself said highly doubtful for the Arizona game. They don't do that with 12 days out unless it's something that could take a good length of time. So Connor Pay going out and being out on crutches was noteworthy. But the thing is that BYU, there hasn't been much drop off from the second string, third string, and even in some positions like running back, the fourth string. And I've just been really impressed by that with this BYU team. Like, we saw Isaiah Moa, a player that a lot of Cougar fans have been wanting to see for a couple years. He switches over from DN to linebacker. I thought he made some nice plays. Yep. Sione Moa, the linebacker, number 41, he made some nice plays when Glasker and Taggart were out for brief moments. You're just getting contributions from a lot of guys. Even Viliami Bahuha making plays. John Talmoy-Peu, guys that we've talked about on this show, but they've got depth, and those are third string, second string guys making big plays on the road for BYU's first ever Big 12 road win. And look, I think what we're going to come away from too, Matt, is that this BYU team will never make you feel like, oh man, this is an elite team. But they are just good at finding a way to get a win and grind it out and make it work. And that's all that matters. Like, we don't have to worry about, is BYU, measuring itself up against, Boise State. They better keep winning in order for a chance for BYU to reach the heights they want to go to. That was back in the day of Independence and Mountain West Group of 5 stuff. Now it's just, take care of business in those 60 minutes and win the game. And look, that second half was not pretty from an offensive standpoint, but I felt that BYU did enough, and I never felt like Baylor was going to win that game. I never did. And even late in the game, when Baylor was making a run, I just felt like BYU is going to find a way, because we saw contributions from Jack Kelly making big plays, Blake Mangelson early on in the game. BYU's defense, to your point, they always found a way, and it's a testament to the depth. They can rotate guys and be fresh late in a game to make a critical play.
We're getting a lot of text, Mitch, on our question of the day, which centers around BYU quarterback Jake Retzlaff and his performance through the first 5 games of the season. I mean, we're ranging anywhere from a straight A all the way down to the C level. So there's the determination of Cougar Nation to give him a high grade or a mid grade. It's all over the place right now. We're getting calls as well. You can chime in at 801-575-8255. Answer the question about Jake, or give us any thoughts on the Baylor win as well. Let's get out to the first phone call, Mitch. From South Jordan, Utah, this is Tanner. What do you think of Jake Retzlaff so far this year?
Honestly, I'll have to give him I'd say like an A when he's on his top performance, kind of on a roll, sets his feet. But when he's kind of throwing it while he's on the run or on the go or kind of like pressure, I feel like he deserves maybe a C plus, a C.
So what would you say? Like maybe through 5 games, like a B, B plus? What are you thinking?
I'm thinking a B, yeah. Just a B.
Yeah.
Flat B,
Thanks, Tanner. Appreciate it. That's where I land, Mitch. I'd give him a B. I think his stats would actually lend to a higher grade.
Yeah.
When you look at the full body of work. I'm just giving him a big deduction because his bad decisions are really, really bad. That interception late in that game, that's inexcusable at that point. There was no opening there for Chase Roberts. Just eat it. Eat the play. We saw it the week before against Kansas State. We need more of that. I don't think Jake has thrown the ball away at all this season.
It's funny you bring that up. He had a play, I think it was a first down against Baylor. He throws it away. And in that moment, I'm like, that is progress. He just threw it away, out of bounds. 2 plays later, Keelan Marion, he slips, and then there was that interception to Baylor. I'm thinking, oh, man, that just wasn't the right read. But he did have that moment where he threw it away and thought, okay, another sign of progress. Because the way that Jake's throwing the football, I was blown away by that throw from about the 50-yard line. He was at
to Darius?
Yes, he was at BYU's own 49 when he let it rip. I know it was a 44-yard touchdown, but he throws that thing from BYU's 49-yard line, and it goes all the way down to the goal line, and it's all in the air. So you're talking about a 51-yard pass, hang time in the air, and it's on the money to Darius Laster for a touchdown. That was a brilliant throw, and it highlights the work that, Jake has had with John Beck and the work that he's put in, the comfort level he has in this offense.
All right, we got to take our first break. Taking more of your calls on the other side. 801-575-8255. We do the show for you, Cougar Nation, so light up the phone lines. Give us your thoughts We'll continue Cougar Nation, and it's brought to you by Central Bank, voted best bank and mortgage in Utah Valley. Visit us online at cbutah.com.